Welcome back to the British Formula FG Grand Prix. We are here watching Utsa. Well, he's caught up a little bit on Hunsley. Meanwhile, ahead, Dovizioso still stuck on the back of the DTK car. He's really giving it a red hot go. It's good to see. Here he goes. He's up the inside, and he unlaps himself. Oh. And now he's showing the blue flag, so I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's just slowing down Jack Hunsley a lot. I'm not sure if it's the fact that he's driving for an Australian team, if he's been told, don't let the Brits do it. Bit of an Ashes rivalry already starting. Here's Engbrink. He's going to have a look at his teammate. As Hunsley's been heavily held up, actually. It's only 0.6 of a second now, back to Utsa. Utsa's in with a red hot chance here. Engbrink does get past Sigulakis, and look at Utsa. He won in France. Could he possibly do it again here in Britain? Upset, well, quite a lot of people doing so, no doubt. Here he goes. He's going to have a look down the front straight. Can't get it done. Hunsley's able to hold position. But as we go through Maggots and Beckett's, if Utsa's close enough, he'll have a look down the straight. We go back to Saeed. I think he may have hit Berner. We won't know. Here's Utsa. Not quite alongside and then squeezed out of room. Hunsley knows what he's doing. Meanwhile, Dovizioso, well, he can get back on with his race. He's made his overtake. Again shown blue flags every now and then. We'll stick with this battle for a bit. Something has got to give. This could be turning point in the season for these two teams, of course. They've battled for the majority of the races. Utsa can't get much closer without being halfway through that DTK. Now then, down the front straight, over the start finish line. He's going to have another look. How much closer is he now? Not much closer, and he won't be able to do it. Hunsley holds on. Oh, Hunsley just goes wide. Doesn't seem to be a massive problem. If anything, he's put Utsa off a bit. Utsa trying to get every last drop out of that Lamborghini engine. Can't quite do it. Now though, have a look down the inside. The dive bomb's on. And in fact, they both end up taking the inside line. Keranen pits. Finally made it there. Hunsley and Utsa. Utsa's just dropping off a little bit. No, he isn't. Telemetry really lies. He's not close enough this time, I don't think. He wants to... Well, he'll put the nose there just to see what happens. Doesn't put Hunsley off. Hunsley's up to the challenge. Now Utsa, he just seemed to lose a bit of time through Maggots and Beckett's. And 0.4 of a second seems about right. Though he catches up in little sections, he just can't find that last 1% to get past the British driver. Hunsley all over the track. I don't know what he was thinking. Utsa was nowhere near close enough. He ends up giving Utsa a few tenths of a second there. And it's back on for young and old. As we come into the final, we're in the final sector. We come onto the front straight. How close is Utsa? The crowd is loving this. And he pulls up alongside. Can't get far enough. But he closes up again. Through the left, right, left, right. Now then, he's got a much longer straight to work with. Can he do it this time? Ben Utsa up the inside of Jack Hunsley. Is he going to hold him out wide? No, he isn't. Hunsley's let him through. Utsa through to the lead of the British Grand Prix. And he kept the pressure on for how many laps? I don't know, but it seemed like this battle would not end. Of course, it isn't done yet. Utsa has himself about a half a second, but he's got to make the most of it while he can. He's got to get himself a gap leading into the final stint. We can finally go and see what else is happening in the race. Meanwhile, Rinyaho's actually ended up catching up to these two a little bit. It's nowhere near enough to make a difference. If no offense to him, but he's still a long way behind. And we'll go back, and here is Rinyaho, in fact. Well, actually, 8 seconds. Might be catching just a little bit. McNamara back 9.3 seconds on the Finnish driver. Here's Sigalakis. He's got Foro. Goodness. Nearly went through him. Thought better of it. Thought maybe a front wing is a good idea. Makes the car go faster. Let's not destroy it. Here's Andy Black having a look at Rautavaara. Battle for 13th. Hunsley, though, he's lost himself about a half a second to Utsa. You can see it, really. Utsa's just pulled away. So interesting that Rob Sharp should should hold up Utsa, and then not too long after that, Dovizioso, well, you know, you could have parked a bus across the track and it would have been easier for Hunsley to move past. Dovizioso very cheeky having been a lap down. Really did change the outcome of the race. We'll see, though, in about 23 laps, we'll see if it really did make a difference to the race, or if it was just a temporary in-between thing. Now then, here's Sigalakis having a look up the inside of Foro. And they're going to go down towards the next corner. Foro got the inside. I think he'll hold his position. Seems like Pablo Deal might be coming in for a pit. Speak of the devil. There he is right now. He's in 11th. And he hasn't even pitted yet. And there! Ben Utsa! He's put himself off at the first corner! All the hard work to get past Jack Hunsley. He's thrown it away. He's done himself what his teammate did in France. And he's got to be careful here. Where, ooh, holds McNamara up a bit there. Through goes Engbrink, through goes Sigalakis, through goes Foro. There's Harvey. I think he'll get out ahead of Nowak. Or maybe he won't. If that's the case, he won't get ahead of Saeed. Deal's probably going to come out of the pit lane. He's got the easiest overtake of all to get past his teammate. He's left stricken at turn 1. Uh-oh. Bowner and Black have to slow down heavily. Here's Dimas. And he's still stuck there. Well, this is just... oh, goodness. Huntsley gets to overtake him a second time. Well, that's just a nightmare from Haller, really. I mean, I don't know what he thinks he's going to do. He might find himself a gap finally. If he can't find that gap, he's not really trying. And I think he may have done his engine now. May have got stuck on the rumble strip even. I don't know what he's done, but he's done it poorly. And that is the end of Ben Utz's race. That is, well, to say that that's a shame, that's not far enough. That is a catastrophe, that is a calamity. There have been, oh goodness, you don't have words for that. Meanwhile, though, we have had a second round of pit stops for a lot of people. So that does leave Jack Huntsley in the lead of the British Grand Prix. Relatively straightforward. I think Utsa was being extremely generous to a lot of the drivers. He should have gotten back out as quickly as possible, let McNamara through and get out ahead. I think he had an ample time, but that's now in the past. Well, it will be as of now. Meanwhile, Nowak, he has Saeed half a second. He's got himself into a cedar sandwich. That's fun. That's fun to say. Oh goodness! And just when it couldn't get worse for BRT, it did. I think he's done himself a Christian Lindner, and yep, pretty much exactly the same. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still groove marks. That he's found himself exactly where Lindner stopped. Marshall's decide it's probably best not to intervene. I'm not sure, but that's the end of the race for Deal. It's just not gone right for him at all day. The moment that he started, instantly fell back. Didn't get any better. Did not get any better. Foro into the pits. This really does start to make you wonder. We're getting into the final stint here. Every card will be on the table. You'll know who is where. Pretty much. We'll have a look back. We've got Hunsley leading McNamara by 19 seconds pretty much. Andy Black's in 14th, he's got Ratovara right behind him on the track. Rob Sharp, 16th, he's not too far behind Ratovara. Here's McNamara, he's got 4 seconds to Engbrink, who's got 13 seconds to Rinyaho, who's just popped out of the pits, so he's got himself a bit of work to do. He's got a longer stint than the others to the end. Here's Saeed, he's got a few laps before he needs to pit. Sigalakis though, he's through to the finish. He's still ahead of Foro, so he's done nicely. Harvey, he's in 8th. He's fueled to the finish. Karanen's found himself into 9th after starting 21st. He's in 9th. He's fueled to the finish. Here's Noak. He's good to go. He's just been overtaken by Dovizioso, who is going to have to pit for a 3rd time. Obviously the fuel tank in the Elite 2 would not be able to make the distance with just a single stop, or they weren't ready to. But Dovizioso, he finds himself in 10th position, but he won't stay there. So Noak's there, and there's Hunsley again, and you got Bauner, he's in 12th, he's been overlapped. Go back to Black, Ratovara, Sharp. There's Dimas. And so lap 43 almost at an end. Saeed's in the lane. We're going to be able to start to see how everything has unfolded. Hunsley is going to pit this lap. McNamara is literally going to be in the pits right now. In comes the Australian, running in 2nd place, though arguably actually in 3rd. Saeed gets overtaken by Dovizioso. He's on a rampage. He senses the overtake. He goes for the overtake. He gets the overtake. Engbrink's in the pit lane. So he's followed McNamara in. Rinyaho's back into 2nd place. By quite a distance on McNamara, I think. We'll find out in a moment. Indeed, 12.2 seconds into the final stint. Engbrink in 4th. Sigalakis in 5th for Speedy. Foro has ended up going 1 position back in his Cedars. Cedars, of course, if anybody may or may not have noticed, they got a little bit of help from BRT, and they've been able to upgrade parts on the car which are no longer shiny and flashing. They developed a new paint. Namely, they got rid of all the paint that was on those parts, and as you can see, it looks a lot nicer. So that's fantastic. Does seem that BRT may have wanted to continue working on their own car, perhaps, or made sure their drivers were doing the right thing. Second Cedars of Saeed, holding back Noak. Now, Bauner in the very new NTEC. Stefan Bauner. He's in 11th. There's still time, and he is fueled to the finish. He's holding back Black, he's holding back Radovar. Dimas, well, I think he's just a bit too far back to really be considered a threat. There's Dovizioso. He's now pitted. Here's Sharp. He's going to get overtaken here by Rinyaho, actually. It's not Hunsley at all. McNamara though is 6.4 seconds to Engberg. He's catching Rinho a bit actually. Don't think it's going to be anywhere near enough. He's caught up a little bit through the first part of this final stint. Nowak, meanwhile, seems to just be he's definitely losing Saeed. He's lost about half a tenth through that sector. So the Australian won't be able to catch up to the Turk, it seems. Back with McNamara. Here with Rob Sharp, one of the not as fortunate Brits in this race. Not as fortunate as Hunsley, that's for sure. If you're Tapio Rinyaho, you wouldn't want to make any mistake that loses you time. It does seem McNamara's catching up a few tenths a lap. Probably not going to be enough. 14 laps to go and McNamara needs to be getting 2 seconds per lap to catch him. So Rinyaho, I think, is probably... he's definitely got 1 foot on the podium. Well, I think he's definitely on the podium. He just wants to make sure that he is on the 2nd step as opposed to the 3rd. Meanwhile, Rob Sharp is in fact the last car still going. He's in 16th. Meanwhile, McNamara at 10.8 seconds. .7, so it's definitely catching Rautavaara. He's not going to make. He's going to make sure these tyres aren't going to be telling any secrets after this race. They are going to be dead. They are going to be so worn out. If you rolled them down the pit lane, they'd probably spin out of control. McNamara down to 10.4 seconds behind Rinyaho. Let's not forget, he had to pit a few laps ahead of McNamara, but surely that's not going to be the big problem for him, as here is Dimas, in fact. He's in no man's land. He's 8.5 and 9.5 seconds behind and in front, respectively, of Rautavaara and Dovizioso. Hunsley, meanwhile, he's got nothing to worry about. His Toyota engine will not get recalled. I'm fairly confident in saying that. That engine will not break down, and he does the fastest lap of the race just to show his prowess. Has been a very good drive from him so far, that is for sure. Catching up to one of the Elite 2s. Rinyaho! And that's a shame for Rob Sharp. It's lucky for Rinho, he nearly rear-ended that car. He was nearly playing firefighter. But Ferrari engine in the back of that Evo GP has conked out. That's the end of his home Grand Prix. Massive shame for Rob Sharp. We go back to Rinho. It's now 9.1 seconds as McNamara's engine has now failed.
Try and get back.
Oh goodness. What a shame for the Australian. He was heading towards his first podium of the season, and now the Cosworth engine has let go. So all of a sudden, these cars, they've got to go 100% of the Grand Prix distance again, and they can't do it. Oh, this is a case of who could last the 60 laps. Engbrink will grace the podium, it seems. Well, it seems, well, it's nearly certain while he's there now. And you can't see Harvey through the smoke. Karinen's going to go past. He's probably been told by now. He's probably going to be shaking his head as he goes past the sister car. Nowak will get there. Black will now be in the points. Rautavaara. So close. Dimas, he's getting closer by the minute as well. A few more retirements. Well, you know, he could be on the podium. Who knows? Stefan Berner, well, he's in 13th. I don't know exactly how he got there. 6.7 behind Dimas. Hello, Rinho's in the lane. He's had a problem. So Rinho's now had to pit again. Don't know what's happened to him. Sigalakis and Engbrink are on the podium together. Foro's moved up to 4th. Harvey might just sneak past to grab 5th in his home Grand Prix. Not quite. No, he's right on the back here of Rinho. A top 5 for the Brit. What a fantastic effort that will be. He's got the slipstream going. He moves out. Has he got enough grunt? No, he doesn't. And so for sure, it does seem these cars are seriously struggling to make the distance. They've all been set up, tuned for 75% races. Tell them to go the whole way. They're not doing it. McNamara, he would have had 3rd. Rinho would have had 2nd. Had it been 75% race distance. But as it is, they both conked out a little bit afterwards. Not to mention Sharp's engine gave way as well. And so Dovizioso's the final runner at the moment in 14th. Only 14 cars are still going around. Karinen here, he's going to have to hold off Saeed. That's going to be a struggle. The Australian's been on those tyres for a very long time, approaching half the race almost. Well, Well, Dimas, well, I guess he is possibly in for a shot at points, you never know. Saeed down the inside, ducking and weaving, can't get past Karanen. I wonder if Huntley's been told what gremlin hit Rinyaho. I wonder if he's been told just drive a little bit safer. It's not like he's under any pressure. Definitely not from his teammate. Well, it's not his teammate behind him anymore, is it, in fact? No, it's actually Engbrink and Sigulakis. And it's 30 seconds. He doesn't really need a try. I don't think he needs to use half the gears and he'll still make it there ahead of the speedies. Saeed, meanwhile, he moves past Karanen. Oh, goodness gracious. Just when you thought that it wouldn't happen again, there's the second Cosworth engine letting go this race. And so for 2KF1, all of a sudden, what was looking to be a fantastic race, both cars in the points, has quickly disintegrated into a horrible situation. All of a sudden, if your name is Brilliant Dimas, you are actually on for a shot at points. And it's through sheer waiting out the competition. So Noak moves up. Black moves up. Rautavaara into the points. Karanen there is finally... the car's finally given up the ghost. Boner moving up. There's Dimas. So who, I wonder, if anyone, is going to be the next to fall? Now, I have a sneaking suspicion. Josh Noak. If you're an Australian, you are not liked. Something is not smiling down on you. He is getting told to pit. Now, that's that's about 7 seconds to Black, 8 to Rautavaara, 17 back to Dimas. If Noak can make it to the pit, and he seems to be slowing down a lot. Yes, he's slowing down a ton. If he can make it back to the pit, I think Brilliant Dimas is going to overtake him through the pit stop. And so all of a sudden, Evo GP could be on for points yet again. Noak into the lane. Black moves past. Rautavaara moves past. Rautavaara is caught up a little bit on Black. It could be interesting in the last few laps. Here comes Dimas. And he goes into 10th place as Huntley. 5 laps remaining. Bowner moves into 11th in the new N-Tech. Anything's possible. And so Elite 2 now. Noak is the final car on the road in 13th place. Oh goodness. I don't think Hollywood could write a horror story quite like this. 9 cars out so far. Oh goodness, and it's still going. Black. Has he? I think he has actually taken. Yeah, he's taken both wheels off one side of that car. So, has Andy Black. Oh goodness, and Bone has gone straight into one of the tyres. It's not getting any better this race. He's got one championship point staring at him, and he's put himself straight into a tyre, which allows Andrea Dovizioso, who went off at the first corner in the first stint of the race, he's back into 10th position. We're down to 12 cars now. Dimas is in 9th, so he's not getting 1 point, he's getting 2. Dovizioso is going to get a point. Bona, well, I don't know. I don't think it's possible for him anymore. He had it right there, and I wonder if he was looking at the car more than what he should have been looking at, and that was the wheels bouncing across the road. Nowak, he'll get to 11th, which is a massive shame because he could have gotten a bit further. 3 laps remaining for Jack Hunsley. Just making sure that he is not the latest casualty in what can only be called the massacre of Silverstone. So it's actually 10 cars now that are out. And another one's in the pit lane because they went into a tyre at, well, 200 kilometers per hour, I would imagine. So it should have been 11. Sigalakis, meanwhile, he's got Foro close behind. Close, but I think for the Greek driver, not close enough. Engbrink, meanwhile, he's going to equal his best finish of the season with a second. Scored second in Australia, should have scored first in Malaysia, but he probably won't want me to go on about that too much. Here's Berner, he's the final car on the road. Foro just doesn't have quite enough to sneak any closer to Sigalakis. Saeed here under control. Hunsley, meanwhile, he will start his final lap, and so far it seems everyone is keeping the cars on the track and making sure they're not chain smoking or anything, because of course tobacco advertising is banned and we can't have these cars looking like they're smoking, well, certain brands of cigarettes. But through all the mayhem, retirements, collisions, stray wheels, fires, One man has been able to keep a very cool head. Jack Hunsley has driven a fantastic race. Even though he got past, kept under control, and in the end he will be rewarded for it. A home Grand Prix victory and a stranglehold on this championship. Jack Hunsley, here he comes now to win the British Grand Prix for Formula FG. What a fantastic drive from him today. Here we go, Dimas in 9th, Dovizioso in 10th. I don't know which is more amazing. There's Nowak, he's done. Engbrink ahead of Sigulakis, and that's how it'll stay. Fantastic for Speedy. That haul of points now puts them in real serious contention in the constructors, no doubt. Fantastic drive from Sigulakis. Foro does well for 4th. Survives the bloodbath. Rinyaho should have had better than 5th. Boner, well, should have had points. Harvey, fantastic for his home race, 6th place. Saeed, well, 7th place. He definitely profited, that's for sure. Rautavara will take 8th. And that'll be it. And so it ends. And here we are. Confirmation of the results. Jack Hunsley ahead of Tim Engbrink and Manolis Sigulakis. Both for Speedy. Fantastic effort from the Dutch team to get their 2 cars on the podium. Zenforo takes 4th, not by much. It takes 4th behind Sigulakis. Rinyaho a bit further behind in 5th. Harvey, fantastic effort for 6th. Saeed will get 7th in a very good effort for Cedars today. Rautavara for Apex is in 8th. He's the last driver on the lead lap. We then have Dimas, who gets a 9th, 1 lap down, and Andrea Dovizioso through the wars is able to get 10th, 1 lap down. Get 1 point for it. Nowak and Boner are the other 2 still driving around at the finish. Black, he'll get classified for going in the wall at the first corner. And then let's get started on this. Karen and McNamara Sharp all had engine problems, as did Chaco and Barrett. Chaco and Barrett were 20th and 21st, whereas Karen and McNamara Sharp was 14th, 15th, 16th. Deal and Utsa almost, well, that was within a lap of each other. Both didn't finish. Okelsager had a suspension failure, massive shame for him. Chaco and Barrett, as I mentioned before, and then Christian Lindner didn't finish either. He was the first one back in his car into a wall. Not a very good idea. So then, have a look at the fastest laps of the race. That does go to Jack Hunsley quite easily, if I be honest. 0.3 of a second from Utsa. Boner had a very good effort to get the 3rd fastest lap for Entech. Shows there's a bit of speed in the new car. We'll have a quick look at the lap chart. Well, this is just painful. Look at, there we go. Harvey and Engbrink had a nice seesawing battle at the start there. There are lines everywhere further down, and a large amount of dots as well. signifying the end of a race for someone. Nonetheless, through all of it, Hunsley was able to stay in control largely. As you can see, Utsa was onto it very quickly, hit the lead, then hit... Oh, he didn't. I think he did. I think he hit the wall. Pretty sure he hit the wall. Then he got beached on the rumble strip, and that's what did him over. Nonetheless, so I hope you enjoyed that. I know, I definitely did at the end. That was very interesting for sure. A lot of work for a lot of teams. Nonetheless, that was the British FFG Grand Prix. Next week we are at Germany, where I can only imagine even more engines are going to go pop. But a fantastic effort today. Hunsley, Engbrink, Sugalakis, that is your podium. Otherwise, thank you. I've been Aidan Keranen, and good night.